The Tony Bruno Sports Network.
Make some noise!
Tune in at 7 a.m. and hear Pete Shepard till 10. And then Defo and Luby from 10 a.m. till noon. And then the man himself, Tony Bruno, and the Tony Bruno Show starts at 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Martinez Company from 6 p.m. to 8. And we've got more to come. The Tony Bruno Sports Network. Download the app. Tell your friends the game is on. TBSN.
It feels good to see the world getting loose. Feels good to see the world getting loose. I don't know about you, Sack Noel. I don't know about you, Phenom. I don't know about you, White Shadow. I don't know about you, but I feel good. I don't know about you, but I feel good. I don't know about you, but I feel good. I don't know about you, but I feel good. I don't know about you, but I feel good. I'm 2 + 2, I'm for sure. You down, I'm down, baby, let's go. You stop, you drop, baby, then roll. You twerk, you pop, booty so swole. I'd hate me too if I were you. And when it comes to billions, I'll take 2. It's only one life, you don't get 2. So live life, don't let it live you.
I got a pocket full of $100 bills. Put on a jacket, cause these diamonds give you chills. 2 shots I'm running, 2 out I'm stunning tonight. Yeah. Look in the mirror, I'm like, who the hell is he? So many whips and cribs, I'm losing track of keys. Ooh, up to something. Ooh, yeah, I love it, alright. Alright.
Yeah, I'm drinking out the bottle. Get loose, hanging with supermodels. Get loose, feel like I hit the lotto. I don't know about you, but I feel good.
All right, it is Friday night, the weekend before Christmas, and we thank you all for joining us here at Martinez Company Friday night. Delco Dave sitting in, well, he is fitting in the chair as well, but Delco Dave in the chair tonight for Rich Quinones as he is on assignment out there in America, somewhere out on the East Coast. He's out there enjoying himself, but no, he's got work to do, so Dave is cordial enough to sit in for him as he does on Friday nights. Here on Martinez Company, I am Angel Martinez, filling in once again for Rich Quinones, Delco Dave, and with us this evening, a special guest. You guys can call in or text into the show at 844-644-8669. We have just a couple minutes with him, but Dave Jackson from ESPN, the rules analyst on ESPN, former NHL referee. Dave, first of all, because we usually go into a whole different routine when it comes to the show, but I know we have a couple minutes with you because then you have to get back on air. But we thank you for coming on the show. Really do appreciate it.
Hey guys, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. I've got you got me for a few minutes, and then we're doing ESPN Plus tonight. Madison Square Garden, no better place to be on a Friday night than Madison Square Garden. You got Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid playing the New York Rangers, so it should be a great game. And if there's a little bit of controversy, hopefully you get to see me. I'll bring me in and I'll explain the rules.
Well, that's always a good thing. But we appreciate you and Dave for Behind the Stripes, a podcast with you and Dave. I feel like there's just all rooms of Dave tonight. But thank you guys for what you guys do, because, again, and you being a referee in the NHL, and one thing I will say, I guess, first of all, is that puck comes fast and furious on the ice. I think we all know this. It's not a shocking surprise. But you guys somehow or another find a way to lift up either your legs, turn your back in enough time. How, it's different to see on TV, and even when you're live there at the game, but we're not on the ice like you guys are. How difficult is it to try and dodge that puck, which we feel like comes like at 1,000 miles an hour?
Yeah, well, you know what? You do it enough times, enough years, you kind of know where to stand. And that's a big part of it. Reading the play and being sort of aware of anticipating what's going to happen next. Normally when you get hit, it's someone's fault. And by that, I mean, I'm standing in the wrong spot, or the player panics and makes a play that he shouldn't make. And that's when you get hit. But you ask my wife, during the season when I worked, I mean, I was just black and blue all over. No matter what you do, you get hit with the puck. And you're padded, but you're not padded like the players are. And, I mean, it hurts. That puck's frozen. It's down to like 18 degrees in a fridge in the box, made of vulcanized rubber. It hits you. I mean, it leaves a mark. It's not fun.
I would bet, because again, it's different. Attending games as an NHL fan. One, when I was back home in Philly with the Flyers, and then down here with the Tampa Bay Lightning, I get to see here as well because I'm now here in Tampa. again, I watch you guys, and between the speed, I mean, half of you guys, I will say, just as quick as the players, because you got the four corners of the ice where you guys end up making sure that everyone switches up. You come up to their blue line, but again, it's just you guys are out there just as much as the players are, and it has to be lengthy because do you know? I guess the assignment, which game you have prior to, or do they stage you guys like in a certain area in a certain zone, and then they let you know otherwise?
Well, no, I mean, during my career, I traveled about 20 days a month, which was about 12 games a month, 20 days of travel. I think in my career, I spent like 11 years in a Marriott hotel, like
Wow.
365 times 11. Yeah, I think I got about 11 years in a Marriott. So you're gone about 20 days a month during the hockey season. And you know your schedule about, I don't know, about a month and a half in advance. So you kind of know where you're going. You can make plans. And as far as being on the ice, I mean, most guys out there are pretty good skaters. I wouldn't say they're NHL Connor McDavid skaters, but you're right. You got to keep up. You got to be agile. You've got to get out of the way in the corners. The big thing is we don't have the hockey sense or the hands that the players have. I mean, they're magicians with that puck, and as well as you can skate, I could never even come close to doing what they do with that puck and that stick. They're just amazing athletes, and they're doing it at 20 miles an hour.
Yeah, which is nuts.
If you want to hear Dave's thoughts on airport and travel etiquette, because he talks about how much he traveled, check out our latest episode of Behind the Stripes. Dave does a good 5 minutes on a soapbox about how you should act in the airport and propose some new interesting regulations for the airport. But Dave, what kind of advice would you give to young officials coming up and making it to the NHL?
First off, work on your skating, because if you can't skate almost as well as an NHL player, you're not going to get there. I don't care how much you know the rules. I don't care what kind of judgment you have. If you can't skate, if you're not an athlete, you're probably not going to make it. So that's the first thing I'd say. And the other thing I'd say is ref as much hockey as you can. Don't just pick and choose when you're 15, 16 years old. Say, listen, I've got to this level. I'm only going to do that level of hockey. No. When I was a year away from being with the NHL, I was still doing squirt hockey. I was doing junior hockey, doing college hockey, still doing squirt hockey, because you never know when you're going to have a game. Something happens that's never happened before, and that's how you learn. That's how it just becomes natural. You talk about doing something 10,000 times or 10,000 hours before you're good at it. That's how it is with officiating. And, let's face it, you're probably never going to be perfect.
Okay. No, you're absolutely right. But so for me, Dave, obviously you guys get into it with the players, not physically, but I know you have to come in between the fights, assess penalties, What's the worst, I guess, that's ever been said to you on the ice that obviously would never be caught as far as a TV camera because the mics are far away, but what's the worst that's happened to you during your years of the NHL?
Well, it's probably not fit for this environment to actually repeat what this said. But you know what? For the most part, players and coaches, they're very respectful. You'll see them on camera. They're waving their arms. Their hair's on fire. They're losing it, but they're still respectful. They don't get personal. And I think most referees can deal with that. I mean, I'd have a coach go off on me, and I'd let him go off on me. And then I'd skate by the bench, and I'd very firmly tell him I heard him the first 3 times. So it's sort of saying, I don't want to hear you a 4th time.
Right.
And that would usually be enough for them to go, he's heard me. And they might, wave their arm, but they stop. And that's all you're looking for. Hockey's an emotional game. The great thing about hockey, especially when players are yelling at you, unlike basketball where you're in a tight, environment, or baseball where it's play is always stopped and they're face to face. In hockey, they're yelling at you. You're skating 20 miles an hour, and it's they say something, heat of the moment, it's gone. It's emotion. You got to let them get emotion off their chest, and I have zero problem with that. It's when what they say becomes a personal attack that has nothing to do with the play or with your performance. When they cross the line there, that's when you start assessing penalties. And usually a player knows it right away. You don't see a whole lot of ejections in pro hockey to coaches or players for verbal abuse because there's a line that most of them won't cross.
Yeah, well, we hope that they don't. I'm sorry, Dave, were you going to say something?
No, I was just reading the comment that just came up from Don. If you want to read it off, I thought it was a good question.
Sure. Don says, which I missed that one, NHL uses 2 referees and 2 linesmen. Any thought of adding any more official as the games get faster?
I don't think on the ice. I think on the ice, you've pretty much maxed out how many guys you want and getting involved in the play. you've got boards. You can't just step out of bounds and let the play go by you. You're part of the play. So I think 4 guys is max. There's been a push to have maybe another official in the press box being able to oversee or give advice when things happen. I'm not so sure we need that. I think we've got the replay process to where it's pretty good. There's very few things now that can't be fixed by instant replay, whether it be a coach's challenge or the referees taking it upon themselves to go over and get the call right. So I think we're in a good place, but I'm never going to say never, because when I started out, there was only 3 officials, 1 referee. We skated end to end. And I remember Brian Burke, he was our boss at the time. He was the director of player safety, I think it was, or he was Gary Bettman's right-hand man. And somebody asked about, going to 4 officials, second referee. And Brian Burke told us, it's never going to happen, not on my watch. And then a couple of years later, it happened. And that's where we're at now. We're at two referees, 2 linesmen. And I think it's made the game better. I think a lot less frustration happens because a lot more penalties get picked up. You don't get as much stuff going unnoticed. And that's where you used to get stuff. Someone cheap shot you, the referee wouldn't see it, so you take the matter in your own hands. Now with another referee out there, a lot more stuff gets called. So I think we're in a good place.
I think
Dave, so he mentioned possibly more officials, and this is something you and I have discussed before, and I know it's something you're passionate about, and an episode you want to do on Behind the Stripes. But talk about the pipeline of young officials coming up and what's going on as they're being developed.
It's actually really sad, and it's not just hockey. It's I'm sure, as you know, Angel, all minor sports are losing officials. They're losing referees, whether it's kids soccer or baseball, and it's the abuse they take. And it's twofold. They take abuse from the players, the coaches, and the parents, and they don't have a support system when they come off the field, come off the rink. There's not enough money being spent to mentor and build confidence in these young officials. And I've said to Dave, you wouldn't show up in September with your kid, sign them up for hockey, ask who's coaching, and they tell you, well, we're not going to have a coach. We're going to just give them a couple of clinics early in the season, and then we're going to let them play, and they're just going to figure it out on their own. As a parent, you'd go, that's crazy. My kid's not going to learn how to play hockey on his own. But that's what happens with a lot of young officials in all sports. You sign them up, you give them their crest, you give them a little clinic in the fall, and there's nobody there to mentor them throughout the season. For a young kid refereeing, and I know that's what made a difference for me, 16, 17 years old, you come off the ice, the coaches are yelling at you, the players, the parents, they're all telling you how bad you are and you're no good. And you start to believe that. But when you come off the ice and there's someone of seniority, someone that's in the stands that watched you, evaluated you and said, hey, don't listen to them. You did a great job. You did what we asked you to do, and you're really good at this. So don't listen to them. Just keep doing what you're doing. That keeps you coming back to the rink. That's what needs to be done. But you have to spend money to do that.
Yeah, no, it's a shame that they are losing coaches because, again, I mean, it's not the way it used to be. I mean, when we went to games and we played, in high school, when you played in college back in the day, it wasn't as bad. It wouldn't take so much abuse. Now it's like a free for all. So I feel bad for the referees and, even the coaches as well, because they get it just as equally as bad. So the last question I have, because I know you have to run, Dave, is for Derek Prawn, the 6-game suspension. For what happened a couple of nights ago, he made a video today. They had questioned him saying, is he going to be back on their ice? He thought he was going to be. They upheld the suspension, so he's going to be off as well. Was that, I guess, in our own opinions, I guess, was it enough, just a 6-game, or should have been maybe, 5 additional games added to it?
Well, as I always tell Dave, suspensions, that's way above my pay grade. Suspensions come, to give an example, suspensions come from the judges. Referees are simply the police on the street, and the police on the street recognized that was more than a 2-minute minor for cross-checking. It was they deemed it an attempt to injure, so they gave him a match penalty and threw him out of the game, and then they just throw it into the hands of player safety. You know what? You're never going to please everyone. Some people will say it was too much. Some people say it's not enough. 6 games is a lot. I mean, you consider how much money those players lose, especially a well-paid player. You think about how much money they lose being gone for 6 games. It hits them in the pocketbook. I believe that's a deterrent. And fortunately, there was no serious injury to the player who got hit. But, suspensions, I try and stay away from that. I'm the man on the street.
That's no problem. But Dave Jackson, listen, thank you so much for joining us. I know you have to run because you have to get on air, have an air check soon. So you're welcome here at any time here, Martinez and Company, just like our faithful Dave here, who's long contracted in for the next 20 years. So he's not going anywhere, at least. But Dave, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Well, it's my pleasure. And Delco Dave will do a good job of pumping up our podcast. Our podcast is strictly nothing but explaining rules. So if you're hockey fans out there, you got rule questions, hey, send Delco Dave an email and we'll feature it on the next podcast. Have a happy holiday. Merry Christmas to everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Have a great one, man.
Thanks, Dave. All right, let me switch back over to this screen here. Therefore, we can get myself and Delco Dave. And by the way, it is featured on there. I see Dave. Dave Jackson, if you just close out your browser, it'll end up closing out the window. I always forget. There you go. See? And he's gone. Just like that. So I always tend to forget. Every time I send out the email, I always forget at the very end, close your browser, the window will go away to make it easier. But no, listen, and by the way, to let you guys know, Behind the Stripes, not only can you see it and hear it on YouTube, you can also hear it on Sports Radio 102.9 The Game. And one of the reasons why Dave was around, because I found their feature and their podcast really interesting, because it's something, Dave, that you don't see anywhere else. I mean, you guys came up truthfully on Lightning and Gold at the same time, because a lot of times we do have questions that we're never going to get answers for. And that's why you guys are there with your podcast, because it just makes sense to go back, you hear the penalties, you guys reassess what's going on, and then you explain to the fans what's happening.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, Angel. So the way it actually came about, I had a different show that was going on, and Dave was a guest one time, and we had a great show. We hit it off, and we messaged some more. And I told him, I was like, hey, let's do another show. Can you get any other former officials or linesmen on there? And then we did a roundtable on my show with Jay Sharara and Devo, and we talked about that. And after that show was done, I was like, hey, Dave, listen, what if we did a regular show like this and just broke down different calls? We do it once a week, just whatever the controversy, what people are talking about. Let's break it down. And Dave, he was gracious enough to be like, yeah, let's do it. Let's run it back. So I stopped doing my first podcast I was doing, the first show, and I just focused all on this. And it's been great. We're in season 2 right now, 4 episodes this year. We're not going to do any more through the new year, but it's been a lot of fun. And we think it's pretty educational. I bet people actually message me about how, yeah, we appreciate the breakdown, because when Dave does it live on TV, he only has a minute or two to give him as much information as possible. When him and I can sit down, talk about 2-3 calls over the course of 30 minutes, he can give an explanation. I can ask follow-ups. People can comment. You can go into a little bit more of the nitty-gritty of it, go into some more details, and a lot of positive feedback. So it's been great doing a great venture. And as long as Dave wants to keep doing it, I'll keep doing it with him.
No, I enjoyed it the first time around. That's why I ended up reaching out to you, because I thought it's really great the way you guys, it's the breakdown, how you guys feed off each other. That's what's important. I want people to understand, when you're trying to do a podcast, we're being a broadcaster, it's not just about sitting in front of the camera and talking on a mic and just spin out all this other stuff. There's a lot that goes into it. You got to make sure that you know what you have. It's number one, you got facts that's going on, because you start making up stuff, people are going to call you out on it, because there's fans everywhere that pay attention to a lot of different things. And so I think the way you guys end up breaking it down is really good. And you can tell that Dave, where he has that 1 or 2 minutes on TV, because he was trying to word everything in as possibly, as fast as he possibly can. But I appreciate you guys, as I'm doing double duty here, but I do appreciate him coming on, and obviously for you making it happen. I do appreciate it. I'm answering Miss Robin at the same time that I'm talking to you here. But
no, that's great, man. We love coming on and bringing more eyes to that and more viewers. One of a couple of people have messaged me. Some close friends of mine have commented and asked if we could do a more almost like hockey basics kind of segment, because I have a good friend of mine that I met out here in Lincoln. He's become a billet family for the Lincoln Stars, the USHL team out here, just like we are. And we've hung out a few times, and he's like, dude, he's like, I want to get into it, but I don't understand some of the basic rules, and I feel like I'm asking stupid questions. And I showed him my podcast, and he's like, dude, he's like, would you guys ever just sit down and talk about just can you just break down icing for me sometimes? So I haven't brought it up to Dave yet, but I'm sure he'd be open to it, because he always wants to bring more eyes to hockey and get more people involved, because he loves the sport. But I want to bring up just like a 2 to 5 minute segment of hockey 101 or something like that, where we just break down some complicated rules so more casual fans can watch it and get an explanation on some of their more simple questions they might have.
No, and again, you guys really do break it down where it's to the point where I would say if you're even if you've never followed hockey, let me put it that way. If you never followed hockey and we hear you guys for the first time, you get to understand, I think, more of the game, the way you guys explain it in the breakdown versus the other way around, like you looking at the game and trying to learn and absorb the game. I think if they listen to you guys, it's to me, it's more lesson learned. I will put it that way because it makes sense. I like the breakdown. I like the way you guys do it. Again, it makes sense. And you do want to know. I mean, there's been many games that I've watched, Dave, and it just seems like it was such a bogus penalty. But again, I'm not on the ice. I'm not the NHL official. I have no idea. I'm just watching from what the camera angle, what it does. Now we've seen some obviously that have been really, really bad. And it's blown calls, just like the NFL, no difference. Something like no different than the NBA now, with stuff that goes on. But it's just nice that you guys have that ability to go back, break it down, make sense of it, and then and you guys, your own opinion, saying that whether it was a fair assist penalty or if it wasn't.
Yeah, and one of the things you mentioned, like the camera angle right there and watching it live, one of the things Dave talked about on the most recent episode was a shootout. We broke down a shootout situation, and he mentioned that the one official looked like he was indecisive, that he wasn't making the decision on good goal or not, right? And I learned something new that we had never discussed before. When it goes to a shootout now, the officials talk amongst themselves, and they'll decide which one of them watches which shooter and which goalie. So say it's the Flyers versus the Rangers, right? And it goes to a shootout. Dave and whoever the other official will be like, hey, listen, I'll watch the Flyers goal, you watch the Rangers goal. So they're both going to be down there, but only one of them's calling good goal or no goal. So sometimes you'll see the other one not watching or not reacting. It's not that they're indecisive. It's because it's not their call. It's the other person's call. And I didn't even know that because I see it all the time when I watch hockey where it goes to a shootout and he looks at the officials like not sure. And it's because it wasn't his call. It was the other guy's call who happened to be off frame. So that was an interesting nugget. I literally learned something new on yesterday's episode.
See, that's why you have to listen to Behind the Stripes. It's on YouTube, over on Sports Radio. So therefore, you guys don't miss a thing. And as Dave said, they'll be back after New Year, just like us here. I put out on social media so people aren't confused. This is not the last show, as in we're done with the Tony Bruno Sports Network. We're done for 2023 as far as the year. So bringing that to a close, and then we're taking some time off because, listen, Tony and Miss Robin, they need that break. If I'm being honest and real here, they need the break. Miss Robin does so much stuff behind the scenes, just like Tony. Tony from inviting the guests, Miss Robin from coordinating, putting stuff together. And this is even before the Tony Bruno Sports Network started because they were already doing things on Into the Night over on No Filter Network. They had their Twitch TV going, which if you guys listen to the best of, you'll hear so much stuff from Twitch TV that you'll be amazed on how much that Miss Robin and Tony have gotten done throughout the years, along with Luigi. And they will not be into the night tonight because they're getting ready to travel out to go spend time with her family. So she needs that break. Miss Robin has hustled her ass off. And again, I will never kiss anyone's ass. I want people to understand that. But Miss Robin deserves this break the same way with Tony. Spend time with the kids. Listen, the station will be there. The worst case scenario, they already gave me the emergency key. Not really, but they gave me the emergency key to go down there to Cape Coral to make sure that, everything's running. But listen, I just want them to enjoy themselves, to have a safe flight, spend that time with the family. They're going to be cold. It'll be nice here. So they're going up to the cold tundra, not the frozen tundra, but it's going to definitely be cold. But this is one of those weekends, Dave. I think I traveled maybe 3 times in my lifetime during Christmas. Couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand it because it's either you're getting delayed because of weather-related issues, depending on where you're going, or because there's so many people, so much congestion. The one time, they just took me off the complete manifest. I'm like, how did that happen? I don't know. And then they went back and looked. By the time there was like 2 minutes left before I can board, I'm like, are you kidding me? So I'm going to miss this flight? Well, technically, you're not on. I'm like, yeah, technically, I already bought the ticket. And so I had to get the next flight, which was like 4 hours later. So granted, and then, people are supposed to pick me up. This is before the cell phone era became available. So they're already at the airport. And by the time they went home and got the actual voicemail off the machine, it was time for them to turn right back around and get to the airport. I'm like, sorry. So, yeah.
I drive everywhere now, man. I barely even fly. I just drive everywhere. I like just not having to rent a car, just having my own vehicle. operating on my own schedule, I'll sacrifice the time. Me and my wife, we'll just drive through the night. She'll take the day shift, I'll take the night shift, and then we're good.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm almost to that point because I'm not going to say that I hate flying. I'm looking at today's pilots versus the experienced pilots that came out of the Air Force, came out the Navy, came out the Marines, and those guys and girls know exactly what they need to do with that aircraft. I'm looking at, and especially now where basically the aviation committee is saying that they want to take back the training hours from someone. They want them to do more simulated time and no flight time. Like, okay, we can all do stuff on simulators. Don't get me wrong. Different story. That's a simulator. And if I accidentally crash a plane, whoopsie, okay, I get to see tomorrow. On a real aircraft, it's like, well, see you guys later. Apparently we're going down. So, and then this morning, because I'm up at 3:30 in the morning, there was a thing on, was it the Weather Channel? One of them where it says it showed how planes crash and helicopters crash. And I'm watching it for like the first 15 minutes. And then I'm thinking like, why am I watching this when I have to get on a plane, a couple of months from now? It just doesn't make any sense. But it was interesting. I guess you learn. So I figured, hey, if the plane goes down, I can run over to the cockpit and yell through the door. I know what to do. Not really.
Yeah, you worked the simulator. You got this. They should get rid of basic training and just give everybody Call of Duty.
That would be good. That definitely would be good. But hey, listen, again, God bless those guys and girls, because I know it's a lot, man. It's a lot. It sucks when you sit on the tarmac. I did it the one time we went to Chicago, and one was the weather. We had a real small window to get wheels up. But in the meantime, I think we were like 25th in line. And so and in Chicago airport, it just seems like it's forever. It seems like it's like literally 20 football fields long. Because when you look back, you're at the end of the tarmac, and then you got to make basically a hard right to then go to another tarmac. It's holy Jesus, how far away are we from where we just were? It literally felt like a 2-hour execution match by the time we got wheels up. We ended up getting up there, and I will say, what was the movie with Denzel Washington where he obviously it's again a simulator, but he went basically straight up and through the clouds, did a twist, and then they were all safe, and then he had to go to the court or something for, what was that? Was that Flight?
Hold on, yeah. When you said it, that was originally the Independence Day. Will Smith was, that's not Denzel Washington, but no.
It'll probably end up coming to me. But anyways, that's what it felt like with our plane, because you could see the nasty weather just towards the right. I'm like, oh, come on, please. There's got to be a way we go through it. And the more we start ascending up, the closer it was coming. And then you see the lightning strike just in the distance. And it felt like I could just reach out the window and grab it, because I'm like, oh no, this can't be good. But the good thing was, apparently it was the storm that day in particular. What happened was it was a low ceiling. And so their thing was they had to make sure that if they're going to get the flights up, that they had enough time to get X amount of planes through there before the storm came over the airport itself. Because since it was a low ceiling, it was more impact on the winds below. Because once we basically went through the super dark gray skies, I want to say maybe when we got up to 31,000 feet, you can finally start seeing the blue skies. Like, oh, thank God, this is great. But yeah, I jumped out of airplanes in the military. But and Debbie knows this, my producer here. If I had a parachute on my back, I'd probably feel a lot better inside of a plane. Because once you jump out of a perfectly moving aircraft, that parachute makes a world difference. Even though if we go down, we're going to go down. I mean, there's nothing else that we can do.
Yeah, I did Con Air transports in Afghanistan, the detainee transports and C-130s.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I felt a little bit safer on those flights than I do sometimes flying commercial.
Yeah. They do, because those guys have been through it. I mean, what person in the right mind? It's the same way. Like, listen, God bless the guys and girls that have to go through into a hurricane. It's the same way. Like, you jump. People used to tell me all the time, why would you jump out of a perfectly moving aircraft? Because it was fun, and that's what he told me to do. So that's what I did. But I can't believe, like, they hit the turbulence and everything else, and it's just, you watch the plane, they're shaking, they're rattling, they're rolling. But the same way too. Now that's the other thing. If I had a 5-point harness in a commercial aircraft, I probably would feel even better. But because you got to think about it, that little seatbelt thing, that's like a roller coaster. You go on the oldest roller coaster, and then you're going down and you're lifted up out of your seat. So it's just one of my paranoia things, but whatever.
Do you want like the shoulder strap they have on a roller coaster? Click, click, right there, just locks you into place.
Yeah. Because I figured if we're going to go down the plane, at least it could be like a ride, except for I want to know how it ends because you'll end up having a heart attack before it's done. One way or the other. But anyways, we're coming up here on our first break as quickly the time has come up here at the end of the first quarter. We'll head into the second quarter here with some Christmas music. The final ones before the New Year starts, and then things will end up changing over. But here joining me tonight is Delco Dave. Thanks, Dave, for filling in for Rich Q. Rich Q is on assignment. And thanks to Dave Jackson for coming on as he's getting ready to go on air. So after the break, we'll get into some NFL. A little bit of the Derek Prawn situation because that was pretty dumb. I will say that much. There's been games, but that was pretty dumb exactly what he did. So we'll get into a little bit more right after this. Don't forget, you guys can call in or text into the show at 844-644-TONY, 844-644-8669. We will talk to you guys right after the break.
You know I got a break.
You're listening to Martinez Company
That's right.
on the Tony Bruno Sports Network. Martinez Company.
It's always playing in my car.
On the Tony Bruno Sports Network.
Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, próspero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, próspero año y felicidad. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas.
Gracias por ustedes. Estando con nosotros el último viernes aquí con Martinez Company. Yo soy Ángel Martínez. Él es Real Delco Dave. Y estamos aquí con Martinez Company el último viernes para el 2023 con usted. Y muchas gracias por estando con nosotros. Que tengan un feliz Navidad, un próspero año. Y lo vamos a ver nosotros en el año 2024. Porque por ahora, este va a ser el final show del 2023. Y si ustedes pueden llamar o si quieren llamar al show, pueden hacerle 844-644-8669. Otra vez, 844-644-8669. 866-9. And for those who like to press number 2 at this time of the day, it is the second quarter here at the bottom of the hour. Martinez Company, I am Angel Martinez. Real Delco Dave filling in for Rich Quinones tonight on Martinez Company. And don't forget, you guys, number 1, please don't forget to download the apps. So when you guys are out and about and you guys can listen to the shows and everything that's going on, like I do. Listen, I listen to a lot of the best stuff. And I even surprise Miss Robin every once in a while with the stuff that I hear, because you tend to forget, Tony's been on air for so long and so many different shows, so many different episodes. That man, first of all, that mind of his, Dave, is beyond phenomenal, because he'll talk to a guest and he'll tell somebody stuff like it just happened yesterday. Like, oh yeah, that happened like 2 minutes ago. So it's just amazing to me what Tony does. So don't forget, you guys, it really helps out with the program, with the digital radio air station. If you guys can download the apps, on the Apple, Google Store, therefore it helps us like it does in Kuwait, where we are number 4 in Kuwait. And by the way, good morning. I think it might be close to about 2 o'clock in the morning out there. So good morning to Kuwait. Thank you guys for listening in, and all over the world. We do appreciate it. Don't forget, you can call or text the show at 844-644-8669. This will be the last show of 2023. As we take a break, we give Miss Robin a break as well. AJ Johnson and Bleacher Brothers, they'll be on Tuesday through Thursday next week. So she'll get a break until about 8 o'clock at night, and then she's back on air, making sure everything sounds fine. And then she'll get a break again. So, but thanks to Miss Robin and Tony for starting this up, the Tony Bruno Sports Network. We can't thank them enough. So we appreciate everyone who's tuning in tonight. If you guys are traveling, make sure you are safe in your travels. Don't forget to make sure you love one another too and take care of each other, because we are guaranteed the moment. We're just not guaranteed tomorrow. So earlier with Dave Jackson, Dave, we talked about David Perron's 6-game suspension, and now apparently it was upheld after the appeal. Now, for those who don't know, Perron was suspended December 11th, 2 days after cross-checking Ottawa Senators defenseman Artem Zub, if I'm saying the name correctly, in the head during the first period in the game in Detroit. The league viewed the hit as a retaliatory move after Senators Matthew Joseph and Parker Kelly hit Detroit's Dylan Larkin, leaving the Red Wings captain unconscious on the ice. Now, for those who didn't see it, and they've taken it down from everywhere. I mean, it was on Twitter for a little bit, and obviously I had taken it down. I think Instagram, not so much. I think on YouTube they had it. Also ended up taking it down. I mean, it was a not so smart hit, number one. And number two, I think the most dangerous part was, there was no movement on that ice whatsoever. And that's even scarier, because we already saw what ended up happening, earlier this year, or, just a couple months ago, with the skate blade coming across another player's neck. So like the NFL, Dave, we see the guys consistently. It's like the helmet to helmet hit. No matter how many times it's instructed, don't do it. You're going to be fine. These guys put themselves in a bad situation. And to me, I guess the 6-game suspension, them upholding it was good, because he had, his comment to say today, thinking that he was going to come back out on the ice, and, he was saying that he's learning from it and this, that, and the other, but it also didn't look like he had too much remorse either.
Yeah, so actually, I was double checking it during the break. So Perron, as far as the lineups that dropped tonight, he's playing tonight. He already served his 6 games. So he is going to be back in the lineup tonight while he was out, at least from what I got officially from NHLs.com lineups for tonight. Also, Larkin, the initial player, he has no timetable to return. And Perron, before this suspension, had no history of any suspensions. So it's kind of unique there. The key is the retribution, that they believe that Perron's act was retaliatory, what you mentioned. He was taking retribution on prior players because of a prior act against one of his teammates. So, like I said, from what I've seen, he's back tonight. The suspension seems correct. I mean, if a guy's not a dirty player, this isn't Matt Cook we're talking about.
Right.
This isn't Ty Domi. This is a guy that has a clean track record, who's been in the league for over 1,000 games. He's played over 1,000 games. So if you have that long of a clean track record, you're going to see some leeway there. So suspension was warranted. That's what player safety deemed. The officials on the ice, as Dave said, deemed it retaliatory. So misconduct was called. Suspension was handed down. But some people probably would say it needed to be more, which is fair. But you've played over 1,000 games with no prior suspensions. The league takes that into account.
Yeah, I would think so. So, well, I'm glad you ended up clearing that one up, because from what I ended up gathering, it looked like he was still I guess, on a 6-game suspension. So I'm glad that you cleared that one up, because that's what, at least the news that I got earlier was just that. But listen, again, it's a dangerous sport. Everybody knows this. If you guys do not watch NHL hockey, go to one of the AHL games if you have it in your area and go check it out. It's a very exciting game. It's fast. It's furious, I guess, if I want to use it towards a movie relation. Oh, by the way, thanks to Stephen Luker, speaking about Fast and Furious, he did say the name of the movie was Flight. So he thanks Steve for checking in. He did say that it was correct as far as the name of the movie. So it was, I guess it was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It hasn't been that long.
With Denzel Washington?
Yeah.
Oh, so I was thinking of a different Denzel movie. Gosh. Because there was one I was thinking where he got investigated because they thought he was drinking. He had one drink the night before, then the plane crashed. Or something went there. I was thinking of a different movie.
No, same movie.
That wasn't 2-3 years ago. Well, that was longer than 2-3 years ago.
I don't know. Maybe. Hey, listen, the days run one into the next, so I don't know. It might have been. It could have been, but I mean, either way, because I just thought, because in the beginning of the movie, I mean, it was pretty intense, because obviously he comes out of the hotel. He's with the person he was with at the hotel. I'm not going to go into details exactly what was in the hotel, but anyways, he leaves from there, jumps in a plane, very small window, and he's looking up and he's saying, yeah, pretty much we can do it. I mean, I don't know. In real life, I hope that never happens. I mean, if you were flying F-16, hey, great. I'm pretty sure you can get away with it. Commercial aircraft, yeah, not so much. They're going to handle the same.
Yeah, listen, but think about the amount of time that goes into you actually traveling, right? So, like for me, I have to drive, 45 minutes, an hour to the airport, get through security, wait for boarding, wait till we take off. So that's already 2-3 hours right there. The actual flight time's a couple hours. Then you deboard. Then you'll get your bags claimed. You're probably talking 7-8 hours anyway. I could drive there, and I could drive from like Nebraska to Philly in about like 6 more extra hours, save myself a few $100 for travel, and then have my own car there instead of renting a car. Yeah,
no, I mean that's a beauty part of it. Although I have an idea if the Radio Week comes to fruition, but I'm going to share something with Miss Robin and see what she thinks. Joey B checking in tonight. He says, Delco Dave, Angel, what's up, Joey B? Thank you for tuning in, sir. I don't know if you had the opportunity of hearing Dave Jackson. Speaking about coaches, Joey B also a hockey coach as well, as he's training up his son. And I know he loves the game. Obviously, being out there in Colorado, he was able to celebrate with the Avalanche just a couple seasons ago, and that's how quick it was. And speaking of, not Colorado, but I find it interesting, Dave, is that there's already rumors swirling as far as John Cooper. Mind you, he's only, 2 seasons at best, separated from back-to-back Stanley Cup championships. And there's already rumors going around saying maybe it's time for a change. I'm like, wow, really? Because the year, I can understand the year, and for those, again, who also don't know about the NHL, you can have the best record in the NHL. It means absolutely nothing when it comes to playoff time, because the year before the Lightning won their second Stanley Cup, they had the best record in NHL and got swept out the first round. And I thought Cooper was going to get fired then, but obviously he comes back next year, wins the Stanley Cup. Then they go back-to-back championships, so they win their third one as well. So to me, I don't know. I wouldn't say that Cooper needs to be fired yet. I mean, he's working with 6-7 new players, if I remember correctly, from the Lightning. And these guys it's going to, again, they're going to get their time in. The line changes. Everybody knows it changes. In hockey, it changes. They get the lines finally corrected at one point or another. And then you got Vasilevsky, who decided to come back a month prior to him supposedly coming back behind the net. And to me, if I have a back injury, I have back surgery, I don't think I'm pushing myself to come back in December, at the end of November, when he was due to come back mid-January. So, I mean, that's taking some sort of effect as well. But last night, they ended up coming back to beat the defending Stanley Cup champions, the Vegas Knights. And that was a good match. It was at 1:13 left. And it was good to see Tampa Bay win that one last night.
I mean, with the exception of the Pittsburgh Steelers, no professional sports organization has any patience with head coaches these days. There's a very short shelf life. And I think it just goes back to that it's easier to fire the coach and the coaching staff than it is to turn over the whole roster. So if you feel like a change needs to be made, you need to send a message, it's a lot easier to just get rid of the head coach than try to get rid of some key players.
Yep. So listen, it's between coaches, staffing. I mean, you name it. I mean, we got what Craig Berube was just fired a couple days ago. Same
They're talking about bringing him back to the Flyers. Not to replace Torts, but in some capacity. I got no problem with Chief coming back.
It wouldn't. I guess depending on where they would end up putting him in. But yeah, I guess he did well enough for the Flyers. So he's not bad. And sometimes going back to your old stomping grounds and change the scenery can end up doing you some good as well. Joey B says, I tuned in late, was on the ice with my son's Batum team practicing. 14U, tournament after Christmas coming up. So,
well, Joey B, thanks for tuning in anyway, man. We appreciate you, bro.
And Craig Berube will be perfect in Ottawa. That's a whole different story. But Flyers still doing well. It's good to see those guys are still hanging out. I believe still in second. If I
second in the Metro. Yep.
So it's. I'm glad. Again, it's been a big change. And by the way, I think Danny Briere's son also got some. Yeah. I mean, it's things. It's lesson learned. Just a dumb lesson learned. And I'm pretty sure something Briere didn't want to deal with at the moment because he was hoping that maybe he would have a better outcome, but you're not. You push a wheelchair, you're not going to get a better outcome.
Yeah, did you see the video of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a good look, man.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he got kicked off his team too. He has to go play in Europe now. Like he's not even playing. He got kicked off his team after that happened, and now he has to go play in Europe.
Yeah. No, I feel bad for Briere because it's something that I'm pretty sure he didn't want to deal with. And now he's got to explain it. And even though it wasn't him, but because it's his spawn, then it's like, all right, now I got to go through all this stuff and everything else and make sure that everything is fine. I mean, it stinks. But again, lessons learned. You are accountable for your actions, folks. When you wake up in the morning, right, it's about choices. When you wake up in the morning, you can choose to have a great day. You can choose to have a bad day. Most of the times, I want to get up to have a great day. For the most part. And you're going to have people that are just going to be stupid. Like, for example, today on the road, I don't know why people do the dumbest things, but you had a car that was coming across. The light for us, thankfully, was red and it was green on the other side. But the person on the eastbound heading west decided for some reason, you know what? I'm just not going to wait anymore and bolted through the intersection. And what I mean, he came in from a hair of spinning out a car. And then everybody's honking the horn, and he's just driving like, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. These people, it's the holidays. Like everybody wants to go home alive. Even if it wasn't holidays, people want to go home alive. But people are so distracted, especially with their cell phones. It's absolutely ridiculous. It just doesn't make any sense.
I mean, every day above ground's a good day, man. So like you said, wake up, have a good day, be grateful for what you have.
Yep, always. Joey B says, rich kids doing dumb shit. Briere's kid will hopefully learn from it. Yeah, hopefully so. I mean, because, not for nothing, but take a look at a successful NFL coach with Kansas City. His sons weren't the brightest of the bunch. And then when the one finally decided he turned his life around, he went right back to the dark side and unfortunately took his life. And the other one, I don't even know where the other one is. I mean, the other one's he's such a mess that I don't even think Andy even knows where he is. And supposedly he was supposed to be in KC, but I don't know. Is he over there?
Well, I mean, at least he's not in the news anymore right now. That's like, when you're like a sports fan, it's a win to not have your family in the news. Like, you know what I mean? If they're not in the news, that's probably a win.
It probably is. Yeah. It sucks when these guys have to go through this stuff. But anyways, we digress here. But the other thing I found interesting was it's funny how Bedard is a fan of different athletes. And I get it because there's been a lot of guys that are that way. But he's like mesmerized by like some players. And apparently he met Victor Wembanyama. And they exchanged jerseys. And he said he was such a fan of his when he was playing overseas. And it's cool to see, I guess, the younger players to come in there and have, not fan stardom. I guess like when you have, the guy's called like a guy crush or whatever it is. But he has just, these crushes on other athletes because the way I look at it is like he doesn't see himself like the fans see him. Obviously, he's the biggest project that's come out in a while, in two skates. So I don't think when he's talking about other people and he's, looking at folks, it's funny to see him where he doesn't look at himself like I'm this athlete on an NHL team and I made it to the NHL. It's almost like I'm here, I'm playing. Don't get me wrong, because I am part of this organization, but I'm also happy that I get an opportunity of meeting the other athletes and hanging around with them as much as they like to hang around with me. Yeah,
I think hockey players, for the most part, are some of the most relatable and humble athletes. So it doesn't surprise me that Bedard's like that. Did you see, switching sports, but similar kind, did you see Brian Westbrook's post about A.J. Brown, though? A.J. Brown, just every time he sees Brian Westbrook's kid, he always takes the time to shake his hand, whatever he's doing, hang out. And Westbrook took a quick picture of it and posted. He goes, I don't even really know AJ that well, but anytime he sees my kid when we're on the field, he always come over and says hi. He goes, my kid loves it. So I feel like fans in general love seeing things like that when athletes you're just humble. You still in touch with your roots. You still walk over and say hi to a kid and just, have a certain kind of appreciation for the fans that root for you and everything. And I think Bedard's the epitome of that.
Yeah, he is. But I mean, he's very likable, very lovable, obviously, in Chicago. Hopefully he'll be there for many years to come as they're now starting to rebuild that team. And rightfully so. I mean, the Blackhawks, listen, for the Blackhawks, the Bears, even the White Sox fans, they have suffered long enough. And it's time to turn things around.
I'm not. The Blackhawks fans are spoiled rotten. They 3 Stanley Cups in 7 years.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
that's true.
They're fine. They're fine. Blackhawks fans are fine. Absolutely not. Yeah. No, there's no spoiling. They're fine.
Yeah, that's true. I do tend to forget that. But the other thing that ended up breaking overnight. Now I don't know how much. Listen, Dodgers fans, I hope you guys are really going to enjoy paying $80 to $90 a ticket, because the Dodgers have spent $1.7 billion on 2 players as Yamamoto becomes now the other one for $325 million, a 12-year deal. But what I found even more interesting, there's a lot of opt-out clauses on his, which I find super interesting. So it's almost like, I want to be in California, but if I don't like it, I can skip whenever I want.
That's a smart person. That's a smart athlete. That if he has that's smart. Also, the amount of money that gets thrown around in baseball is kind of mind blowing. Like, you almost can't even comprehend it as the average Joe. Like, right. You almost can't even comprehend. Like, how 1 billion? Like, what?
Yeah, it's nuts. It's 325, 12 years. Obviously, the Phillies were going to try and make a move. The Red Sox, Yankees, supposedly, but I mean, come on. Again, how much is enough, Dave? I mean, you think about these athletes. I get it. You're an athlete. Don't get me wrong. He's 5'10", apparently has a great arm on him. Kind of not your average pitcher height that they look for, but apparently this guy's just a phenom. But my thing is, like, when does that number stop? Are we going to start seeing now, 400 million, 500 million, 600 million? I mean, it keeps just growing and growing and growing. So another 5 years from now, are we looking at the first athlete to make $1.1 billion even before they hit the mound or the court?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's all relative, right? It doesn't matter how much money that actually gets you. It's just a matter that somebody else is making this amount and you want to make this amount. That's all that matters. If they want to come in and be the highest paid, it doesn't even matter what the number is. It's all relative to what their counterparts are making. So if you think you deserve to be the highest paid player, the baseline starts with whatever that current highest paid player is. So yeah, you will absolutely be seeing $1 billion contracts soon. I don't know if it'll be the next 5 years, but it's absolutely going to happen.
I think it's nuts. I mean, it's great. It's just, I think it's completely nuts. Brian, what's up? Angel, what's up, Brian? Thanks for coming back. We do appreciate it, as always. I don't know if you missed Jose a couple of nights ago. I think I told you, Brian, he was on with Tony and Ms. Robin on Wednesday. He was trying to call in a bunch of times. He had a guest on, and Jose's trying to call in. Ms. Robin saying, no, I can't. Jose, I couldn't get you in because we had a guest on. So it was it's always great to hear from Jose. Can't see him, but soon, if they get everything the way they want to on the video side, you'll be able to see the guest as long as they're able to see it. Because some people don't like to come on video. Some people just I just rather do a phoner. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it makes it a little bit easier a lot of times when they're on video with you, because then it's less cumbersome and less times for the phone to go completely nuts, which is nice. So that's another thing. Yeah, but again, I mean, you have, who else was it from San Diego? Former Ray. Did I got it? Who am I thinking of here? Former Rays. It'll come to me. It's a brain cramp, but
Ichiro?
no, from San Diego, from the Padres, pitcher. He was with the Tampa Bay. Goodness gracious, why can't I think of his freaking name? Blake Snell.
Oh, Blake Snell. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said Ichiro for a second, and I was thinking because of his contract, he deferred a bunch of his money down the road, which was awesome. Did you hear about when he signed his contract back in the day? He's still going to be getting checks until 2035.
Yep. Again, they learned from Bobby Bonilla. It's what he did. It's the best thing. Well, you might as well secure your future because you're going to do it. Now, what the Dodgers got originally from Ohtani, I mean, listen, they got super lucky there. Only bad part is, and I'm not saying the Dodgers I don't think they're not going to go being bankrupt anytime soon, but I'm wondering, just by the slight chance, if they happen to become bankrupt, will Ohtani still get his money?
Well, what I think is even funnier is that, did you see the Rams presented Ohtani with a LA Rams jersey last night during the game? As if he hadn't been in LA for the last 7 years.
Exactly.
It's welcome to the city, man.
I don't know what people, they really don't think of dude, yeah, he's been there, guys. I wonder, it probably had to be somebody young. How cool would it be if we get Ohtani here and we give him a jersey? And just the thought process, somebody should have went, I'm pretty sure it probably went through 15 people. And the last person should be did you guys all forget that he's already been here? It's not nothing new. It goes to show you how much
people been here for almost a decade.
Exactly. But he doesn't see it that way. I'm surprised. I don't think he has, if I remember correctly in his contract, he has 0 opt-out clauses in his. And I'm kind of surprised that he did it. But Yamamoto said, not me. No. I got about 9 in there. So
I don't know if the Dodgers will go bankrupt, though. Sports teams and sports leagues are almost at that point where they're too big to fail. They're not going to, you know what I mean? They're not going to fail in any way.
I don't think so. But again, see now, Mets, you guys know all about it. How much money they spent, where they end up. Listen, spend all the money you want because it doesn't guarantee a World Series. That's the Yankees. Yankees used to do it. And how far did that get them? So the Tampa Bay Rays with Cash, managing, I will say this much. He's got a very small payroll, but somehow or another, he keeps those guys in playoff contention. It's going to, hopefully, with Kevin Cash, hopefully soon, he'll be able to finally, to be able to get past the first round, that wild card round for the Tampa Bay Rays. But he makes it work. Now, of course, they got 2 big keys of the pie that are gone now out there in LA as well. But listen, I don't believe that just because you want to spend billions upon billions of dollars on 2 or 3 people and not fill the other voids that you have is going to happen. Because look at the Threshers this year for the Phillies. Down here, the low affiliate team, hopefully they'll go back to being single A baseball. But they made it to the minor league World Series. They came up short, but they made it. So, and again, it was guys that came in brand new nucleus because COVID, they kept 4 or 5 guys around from COVID, probably a little bit longer than he should have. And they finally decided to beef up the roster last year. And it goes to show you. And they did it, again, very low budget. So Phillies, I'm just saying, to go out there, don't be spending all kinds of money because then the Mets fans and the Yankees fans and Red Sox fans are going to jump all over us. So what did you guys say about money?
No, well, I think we're going to break the Dodgers' hearts when our 88-win Phillies teams advances to the NLCS and the Dodgers are still at home.
Yep. I can't wait for that one. Oh, that would be so fantastic if it does happen. And it's bound to happen anyways. But baseball season, it just seems like it's not that far away. First of all, this year went by quick. On top of, I can't believe it's already just playoff time for the NFL.
I know, week 16.
Yeah. It goes by so fast. It's crazy. I mean, college season already goes by quick enough, but in the NFL, it just seems like it just started yesterday and it's already gone. So we will get into some NFL games here in the 7 o'clock hour, third quarter here of Martinez Company. Again, Delco Dave filling in for Rich Quinones, who is on assignment. He'll be back in the new year, along with the rest of us here at Martinez Company. And don't forget, it will be running the best of all the way through the weekend on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. Then on that Tuesday, all of us will be off, except for AJ Johnson. He will be on from 8 to 10 p.m. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then we'll be off for the weekend again. We'll all be back on air January 2nd, starting with the Pete Shepard Show. Pete Shepard, who was on this morning, by the way, from 7 to 10 a.m., another great show by Pete Shepard, who does it. And he brought back Meniscalpo, the comedy skit, which when he talks about when company used to come over versus people just knocking on your door. And he talked about Sanka. And the kids were saying, what is that? Is that a new app? And it was the coffee back in the day. So good job by Pete Shepard. Defo and Luby will be back as well. They are taking a break. They are on from 10 to 12. The best of always from 12 to 3. Plus new shows coming up in January. And then Miss Robin and Tony on with the Tony Bruno Show from 3 to 6 p.m. And Martinez coming here from 6 to 8. So after the break, we will start getting into our NFL picks and any breaking news that comes in between here and there. So we will see and talk to you guys here shortly.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been waiting, and now it's here. TBSN, the Tony Bruno Sports Network.
Make some noise!
Tune in at 7 a.m. and hear Pete Shepard till 10. And then Defo and Luby from 10 a.m. till noon. And then the man himself, Tony Bruno, and the Tony Bruno Show starts at 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Martinez Company from 6 p.m. to 8. And we've got more to come. The Tony Bruno Sports Network. Download the app. Tell your friends the game is on. TBSN.
First but surely finish last. Cause day and night, the loneliest loner seems to free his mind at night. He's all alone through the day and night. The lonely loner seems to free his mind at night. At night, day and night. The loneliest loner seems to free his mind at night. He's all alone, some things will never change. The lonely loner seems to free his mind at night. At night.
Welcome back to the third quarter. Martinez and Company. I told you guys it'd be a quick break. I thought there was going to be a Christmas interlude, but apparently not. That might be coming there at the bottom of the hour. Third quarter here, Martinez and Company. Angel Martinez, Real Delco Dave, filling in for Rich Quinones, who is on assignment. If you guys would like to call and or text into the show, you can do so at 844-644-TONY, 844-644-8669. Also, you can reach out to us here on the social medias as we are live on the Tony Bruno Sports Network Facebook page. Also on the Broad Street South Facebook page, Tampa Joe's. We're just spreading the love everywhere. LinkedIn, Twitter, you name it. We're out there letting everyone know that you are listening and viewing the best damn sports planet on the network, in the universe, in the stratosphere, anywhere where you guys can listen in. Yes, even I heard that we are actually, Dave, up there in the, what's the thing you're out there in the space station? I heard that they finally started downloading the app in the space station.
No, really? International Space Station?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
We need to create a Tony Bruno Thanos meme with like the gauntlet, but like overlay Tony's face on Thanos. I think that would be a good little meme to make for the Tony Bruno Sports Network.
It would be. I agree. Joey B, his comment says, imagine the state taxes those two players are going to pay in California, 60% or more. Plus agent fees and more luxury taxes. Yeah, listen, you can defer if you want to. I mean, one player was kind of semi-smart doing so, but yeah, it's a lot. And it's not getting any cheaper to live in California. Everybody knows it. That's why there's that mass exodus from California out to Vegas. And what I found interesting was I had no idea. I guess depending on where you reside, there's an exit tax that you have to pay. I think that's absolutely insane. So if you left from California and you went to Nevada, you have to pay exit taxes.
Well, I mean, New Jersey makes you bail yourself out every time you go to leave New Jersey. Like you have to, so I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all. You have to pay that toll to get back on the bridge every time you go to leave.
Yeah, well, this is true. That is true. I forgot all about that one as well. Even I remember back in the day when a Tacony Palmyra Bridge was 25 cents. Oh, that was freaking great. Put a coin in there and off you went. And you figured, I think that Ben Franklin. I know that Ben Franklin for a while was 25. Then it went up to 50. I think the biggest jump was made to $1. People freaked out like $1. Now it's like what? I think it's either $7 or something ridiculous.
When I left in 2018, it was $5 to get out of Jersey. That was the bail you had to pay.
It's incredible, man.
No, but you mentioned NFL picks though, man. CJ Stroud and Will Anderson are out again.
Yuppers.
And I think if the Texans made the playoffs, D'Amico Ryans had a chance at Coach of the Year, which I thought would have been great. But I'm not entirely sure that with Stroud and Anderson missing again, they might be done. Like if they lose again without those two, and then I think if they don't make the playoffs, Ryan's hopes of Coach of the Year go down.
It probably will. But again, it's listen, I know people hate it when I say it, but it's the helmet stuff has got to stop. How much is too much when it comes to these? And you see it more and more now. I understand if you drop your shoulder, I get it. Ryan used to talk about it all the time. Like these guys, the fundamentals that they don't, these guys don't do fundamentals anymore. But when you drop your shoulder is one thing. But if you're dropping your shoulder, but at the same time leading with your head, come on, man. We know what's coming here. And not everybody wants to punch the ball out. Like no one wants to tackle anymore. That seems like that must be written out of the book. I don't get it, but it's a nonsense that goes on. Joey B, I'll get back to my comment here. It says, would be better business decision to play in Arlington for the Rangers or Houston with the Astros?
Well, I mean, with Houston, you can cheat your way to a World Series, so that's always cool.
That is true. Yeah. Except for this year, they couldn't do it. Although if I was Dusty Baker, I would have went out. When I was on top, I would have said, you know what? I finally got my ring, even if it was cheating. But I finally got my ring. I'm out. But whichever way. Jack O'Donnell, yo, Merry Christmas Eve. Indeed, Jack. Indeed. Merry Christmas to you too, Jack. As well. No, listen. CJ, it's Tua has been extremely lucky this year. Extremely lucky that he has not been concussed so far this season. And I'm not saying that it cannot happen. I hope not. It'd be nice to see him to do an entire season. And especially the way Miami's playing right now, it's not a joke. Again, look back at Junior Seau. Who knew back in the day that was going to be the reason why, things end up happening. And he ended up taking his own life. And no one knew about it because they just thought he was just, crazy. Jack says, I also feel they need to put a stop to NFL players acting like referees. I find it very annoying. I would agree, Jack. I would agree because you see it more and more when the refs are trying to get their calls. Now, some of these calls have been absolutely ridiculous, but they're trying to back off the players. They're trying to make sure that everybody, let them make that judgment, I should say, so they can finally make the call and get it through there. And we all know they're not perfect by any means, but absolutely true. Absolutely true. Joey says, breaking news. Angel triggered by millennial thinking on jersey for Ohtani. No, sir. I'm not yet, at least. I'm not triggered for that one. I think it's just, to me, Dave, first of all, Dave brought it up. He was one that talked about it. So I didn't get triggered from it. I just think it's ridiculous, just like Dave does, where he's been around already for 7 years and they act like he just got to LA. That's ridiculous. That's like somebody living in North Philly.
Yeah, but back to what Jack said, though. The one that gets me, the call that drives me nuts, is how the offensive lineman's allowed to jump up and point at the defensive lineman when they just creep into the neutral zone. It used to be that as long as they got back on time, you know what I mean? The defensive lineman could go. As long as he got back on time for the snap, it was okay. But now all these offensive linemen are taught to jump up and start pointing. I'd love to see that get called. I would you know what I mean? So I'm with Jack, especially on that one. The odds are already stacked against the defense as is. So I'd like to see, when you can, tip the scale back a little bit the other way.
It should. And you figure what Jason Kelsey got called for one, and he didn't even move.
Oh my God! That one.
That was ridiculous. He literally lined up for the ball, and here comes the referee throwing a flag. He just went into position. What the hell are you guys thinking? But
this is my Eagles fan conspiracy theory. I think Raj Goodell truly does want the tush push, aka brotherly shove, outlawed. So I don't think there was any announcement about it or any kind of point of press release. I think you're going to see more calls, more flags thrown on that particular play throughout the rest of the season because Goodell low-key wants that play outlawed. And that's just Eagle fan conspiracy theorists right there. I have no sources, no inside information, just an outsider's opinion. I think you're going to see that happen more and more, whether it's Kelsey moving the ball, whether it's an illegal shift, illegal formation. You're going to see the spotlight on that play for the rest of the season.
I think so as well. I believe so. And if I'm saying it correctly, I think it's Diggs over on Twitch. Brother, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you, sir. Thank you for tuning in over on Twitch. I do appreciate it as always. The Rams. What's been the magical turnaround with the Rams? The Rams look like they were done for the season, and now all of a sudden they're one of the hotter teams in the NFL, which makes no sense to me. But they're only one season separated from the Super Bowl, so they're saying that no one should face them, I guess, during the playoffs. I think San Fran obviously is the team to chase in the playoffs, to be able to make it to the Super Bowl. But I don't know what the Rams have done as of late. But obviously they beat the Saints, and now they're just on a roll.
Well, Sean McVay's still a good coach. He didn't forget how to coach. Matt Stafford's still a great quarterback. He didn't forget how to play football. Still got one of the best arms and some of the best arm talent in the league. Cooper Kupp was hurt. He's back. He looks like he's finally healthy for the first time in 2 years. It looks like it's been 2 years of him battling injuries. He looks like he's healthy again. They got a great pick with Puka Nacua. Kyron Williams is another late-round pick. They have some studs they got later in the draft. And they had an exodus last year and a ton of injuries last year. But like you said, 2 years ago, they were Super Bowl champs. This isn't a bad team. This isn't a bad organization. So they found their rhythm. They're getting healthy at the right time. The Rams are not a team I don't think anybody, including the Niners, wants to be in the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, again, if you're the Rams and you figure out a way to win, Eagles, take note, because you need to do the same thing. There's important games. The last 3 games are very, very important. If you guys want to get to that final destination, which is another thing. I find it so odd and eerie. When you get in a plane, that's the other thing too, is like, welcome to Flight 206 as we're heading out to Miami, Florida, here from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We hear 76 degrees out there in Miami, getting up to 92 degrees. So we'd like to thank you for flying Southwest. And we'll make sure that we get you on time into your final destination. I'm like, why? No. I don't want that to be my final destination. Just tell me that we're going to Miami. Don't make it the final destination. That drives me nuts when they do that stuff. I forgot who Spirit called it. We went to Vegas on Spirit for the Summer League. What was something Vegas? Hopefully my producer will walk in and she'll remember. But the lady she referred, instead of going to Las Vegas, I don't know if it was Broke Vegas or something, Paycheck Vegas. It was something funny. So she took out the final destination and she was making fun because obviously if you're going to Vegas, you're going out there to spend your money. But it was a word that she used. It was a term that she used. And I thought it was absolutely hilarious. So it was a good job by her. Steven, let's see. Steven says, what app? Oh, so Steven put something together. He put something together. I'll share it out there on Steven Luker doing a quick, amazing turnaround. He heard what you said, so he actually made a logo for it. So I'll make sure I'll throw it out there a little bit later on. Rich says, by the way, been on air for an hour, quick break, then back on, but let everyone know I said Merry Christmas and well wishes to the listening audience. And I'm not going to be on a milk carton, LOL. Saving something behind the mic. He did mention it yesterday. Yeah. As he did mention if he doesn't come up anymore, that he'll probably be in a milk carton somewhere. But Jack says in the comments here, or how about a defensive end waving his arms on an incomplete pass, acting like somehow they had something to do with it and never touched the receiver? Good point.
Wait,
very good point.
Rock Vegas.
Yep. Flintstones. Yeah. I wish I could remember. And it'll come to me hopefully before the end of the broadcast here. But it was something funny. She had everybody laughing. That, and it cracks me up too. We're going to get back to the NFL stuff. But the other thing that Spirit did was that the guy comes on. First, it was the lady. She was explaining stuff and everything else. And the guy says, all right, it's going to be a 4-hour flight out there to Vegas. So we're about halfway there. We know you guys are tired. It's been a little bumpy flight, but not too bad. So we figure since the seatbelt sign is off, how about we do a little exercise? And people would just, all move around their seats and stuff. He goes, all right, how about we put our arms way up in the air? Of course, everybody's doing it. All right, wiggle those fingers, stretch those arms out. Okay, now, without hitting the person next to you, how about stretch your arms to left and right? And everybody's doing the same thing. They're looking at the person next to them. He goes, all right, now we're going to bend all the way down. And people bend all the way down. He goes, now do me a favor, all that trash you guys put on the floor, how about you pick it up and just hand it to us as we walk by? I'm like, Touche, my friend. That was good. I was not expecting that one.
Wait, so you said somebody made a logo or something about something I said?
Yeah, it's Steven. Steve's quick. Steven Luker. He is fast. You want something done? That's the guy to go to. I will say that much. Let me see if I can hopefully forward it here to you as we're here on air. Dun, 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 dun.
That's awesome. I'm excited now.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. Steve's quick. He is quick. So it should be coming your way here momentarily. But yeah, and then the other thing, which this to me kind of doesn't make any sense. I'm going to read this off before we start getting into the picks. Did you get it?
Yeah, that's awesome. Steve, thanks, man. That's so great, man. I'm putting that out there. That's so awesome, man.
He did a great job. So, Steven, thank you. We do appreciate it.
Hey, Steve, if you're on X, aka Twitter, throw me a follow at Real Delco Dave. I'll follow you back. I want to tag you when I post that out there, man.
He's man, I'm telling you, he's like on the fly. With the Bleacher Brothers, it's great because he'll come on and he'll give updates. Like last night, it's funny because all AJ has to say, Steven, do the updates. And it's like fast. It's like super fast. He can get him base like everything in less like 2 minutes. He's amazing. And his show, by the way, the Baseball World Twist, is also on Sports Radio 102.9. He'll be back on live after the new year. From Yahoo Sports, it says, Bill Belichick confirms kicking balls were underinflated versus Chiefs Patriots don't have anything to do with it. And I thought this thing was kind of silly. But anyways, it says the New England Patriots head coach Bill Belichick confirmed Friday that the kicking balls in last week's 27-17 loss to the Kansas City Chiefs were underinflated. In a nod to the Deflategate scandal from 2015 postseason, Belichick also confirmed that Patriots had nothing to do with it. Kickers from both teams missed mid-range field goals in the first half, raising suspicion that something was wrong. Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker missed a 39-yard field goal on Kansas City's opening drive. It was his first missed field goal of the season. Patriots kicker Chad Ryland then missed a 41-yard field goal on New England's ensuing drive. Quote, "We are aware of it in the first quarter," Belichick told reporters. "The officials handled that, and they were underinflated by 2 to 2.5 pounds. I think you could see that by the kicks. Both kickers missed the kicks. Butker hadn't missed a kick all year. Kickoffs, we had 2 almost that went out of bounds." So I guess I didn't pay too much attention to it. Neither did I think it was going to happen. Does it raise then the scandal that Kansas City is going to do whatever they need to do, I guess, to try to win, to make it in? I mean, I think
I have no sympathy for the Patriots and underinflated footballs.
No, because they got away with it.
Yeah.
The way they did it. Jack says, by the way, best wishes to Johnny Marks indeed. On 70 down to spend time with his family, habit trails. That is absolutely true. Listen, John, I had the opportunity of meeting him when he was at 97.5 with Sean. When Sean was there, I think Sean got done dirty. Sean, God bless. He's like a phoenix, though. He rose from the ashes and came back a lot better. Sean was let go. So there was a go-kart challenge that ended up happening in Jersey. And this is years ago. And John Marks out there, Sean was out there, Harry Mays, Nick Cale. I was on Nick Cale and Harry Mays' team. And I want to say like April Fool's was like 2 days later. They were both John and Sean were on the air the night before. And it was all right, we'll see you tomorrow. And then the next day, John's on air and Sean's gone. And word got out that he was fired on April Fool's Day. So everybody thought it was a joke. And come April 2nd, John Marks was like, no, listen, it wasn't a joke. He was let go by the company. And that was it. You know, it was like, wow, really? Out of all days, you want to do something like that? That's the day you decide to do it?
Wow.
Yep. But
that's wild.
Yeah. Then Sean, the great thing about him, though, so he had, before the now success that he continues to have, he had a networking night in Conshohocken, and it was the first annual one. I went, he invited me, and we went up there, and there must have been, I want to say, about 11 people. Now, if you really were a fan of Sean and you really wanted to support him, you should have been out there. It was a great time. It was 11 of us. We had the best time. He had some future sponsors that were there that night. And we all socialized. We had a great time. And then I guess for those who thought that Sean was washed up, well, joke's on you because he's doing quite well with Fox for himself. And his network continues to grow and blossom. And now he's got Sean Bernard on with him. Sean Bernard, who covers the Sixers, does such a great job. He's been on with us over on Broad Street South. Does an absolute fantastic job. And Sean came up right through the ranks like everybody else, except for he has every key knowledge that you would need from the Sixers. And Sean was nice enough to pick him up. But John Marks, when I met him, very classy guy, nice guy. Always took the time to say hello and stuff. This is when Jimmy was over there at 97.5. Obviously, they all went over to 94 as they kind of all switched spots for the most part. But yeah, listen, the time with the kids, your kids grow up quick, man. They grow up really fast. And when you're on air, when you're on the radio, especially at a time that he's been on air, he's going to miss out a lot. So he figured, you know what? It's time to step away. It's time for me to spend time with the family. And God bless. If you have the means to do so, God bless. Because it's not, when it's something that you love, I mean, you're doing also with Ike Reese as well. And from what I understand, they were killing it in their time slot. So it was, for John Marks, God bless. I mean, I hope he has the best years to come and that he spends much more time with them. Yeah, he did work under Tony. You are correct, Jack. Listen, the Tony tree of broadcasters is absolutely insane. It is insane. And one thing that I will say about Tony never goes back and tells someone, because of me, that never happens. Like he says, he just helps people along the way, and then they continue carrying the torch from that point on. So Tony's helped a lot of people. That's why I think when people started saying like, oh, he's such a bad guy. First of all, that Deadspin crap was absolutely ridiculous and made him lose his job. But just like Sean, Tony's the same way. He's like a phoenix. Tony will never go, well, especially now because he owns Tony Bruno Sports Network, so no one can fire him except for himself. Maybe Miss Robin if she goes nuts on him one day. But that's the reason behind it. So people can say whatever they want to about Tony. I've known the man for many years. I've known him when he was out in South Philly. He's done a lot in the community. He's done a lot for a lot of people, and more than people would probably ever know. I will say that much. So
I've said it before on here that I was a nobody. I literally just wanted to start doing a podcast, start doing a show. Tony was one of the very first guests I got on the show. I want to say, like, when I first started my show, he was probably the third or fourth guest that I came on. Him and Miss Robin, consummate professionals, absolutely amazing. They easily could have been like, no, absolutely not. Like, we're not doing that. He came on, talked to me for a good 45 minutes. Absolutely great guy. Miss Robin, absolutely amazing. Like, I hope one day I'm part of the Tony Bruno broadcasting tree.
Yeah, we'll see. Things can happen. You never know what ends up happening. Things can happen. But Jack says Tony is great at allowing people to learn on their own and is very open to anyone, which is absolute truth, Jack. Absolute truth. It's just, to me, he's just an amazing individual. And again, at 71 years old, if I remember correctly, that mind of his is beyond freaking sharp because he turns it on like a switch. He could be tired, but Tony, you're on the mic and it's like a switch. He turns on and it's just the stuff that he remembers, man. It amazes me. I don't care what guest comes on. He will spit out stuff, like I said, like it's just yesterday. God bless him. I know they're getting married. By the way, that's going to be our, what do you want to call it now? I guess a reverend ordained minister. He will be the one doing the nuptials for Debbie and myself this summer. So I'm very happy that Tony's going to be the one doing the vows, which is going to be absolutely. I'm not going to name the location because awesome, if I do, man. Yeah, I asked him a little while ago, and he said he would love to. Well, I learned about it again from the best of. I had no idea that he was, and I was like, oh, well, you know what? This is perfect. It works out great. I can't disclose the location because if I do, it will turn into an actual show. So there would be a ceremony, but there would be a show to go along with the ceremony. So yeah. Well, I'll just leave it at that. Anyways, nope. Go back to this one here. Jack says, I better be invited. See? I told you.
There'll be an audience.
Yeah, that's true. We'll see. Jack, just stay tuned. You never know what's going to drop. Just stay tuned. I will let everyone know exactly what ends up happening. But and I know my producer's going to walk in and know, you better not say anything. The other thing, too,
but real quick, Angel, we talked about it earlier. We mentioned the Perron suspension, the hit, Dylan Larkin being out. Perron's back from suspension tonight, and I found out Dylan Larkin's playing tonight too because he assisted on Pat Kane's goal. So Red Wings are up 1-0 on the Flyers. Kane scored from Larkin and DeBrincat. So Larkin's back in, Perron's back from suspension, just to bring that whole thing full circle.
Jeez. That's, well, again, it's amazing. It is amazing. Let's see. Before we get into our picks, I know we're quickly coming up here at the end of the third quarter, the bottom of the hour, 7:24 here on the East Coast. The NFL Black Money Tracker right now, other than the three head coaches, one being the Raiders, Carolina, and the Chargers, with two general managers, let's see, who are they looking at? Obviously, the Patriots, we already know about that. Chargers, yes. They let go. Panthers, there's nothing new
I think
there.
Tomlin should leave on his own terms.
I
don't
think so
he's
too.
gonna get fired, but I think Tomlin should just, leave on his own terms, pick his own spot, and get paid a boatload of money. He's still young by NFL coaching standards and has almost 2 decades worth of head coaching experience, no losing record. Pittsburgh seems like purgatory. He should walk away on his own terms, leave how he wants to leave, and then go pick his spot wherever he wants to be. Whether he thinks it's the Chargers, whether he thinks he can turn things around with Bryce Young with the Panthers, wherever the Jets, like wherever he wants to go, if a spot opens up, he should just go write his own ticket, and he'll become the highest paid head coach in NFL history. They will write him a huge check.
I think so. Apparently we went off air, so I was just told by Miss Robin and Stephen Luker. Thanks, Steve, for letting me know as well. Hopefully it'll come right back. So if you guys are listening on the app, it'll come right back here. So, and let me let Stephen know, as he's been nice enough, cordial enough to let me know as well. I should be coming back so that you guys don't end up missing out, which is always a big thing, just to make sure. Well, things happen, folks. When you go live, it happens for whatever odd reason. But hopefully we'll be back on air here over on the app. And again, the backup default is the social media, so you guys don't end up missing out on something. So if you do, Miss Robin, just let me know it's coming back. Yeah, it'll be coming back. You're talking about the app, correct? No? Okay. All right. Producer just walked in to give me an alert from Studio B, so I'm pretty sure she'll let me know here during the commercial break. But Stephen, hopefully
we can just throw it a break, right?
We can. Nope, it's back.
Okay.
Steve, let me know it's back, so that's good.
Okay, cool. Do I need to do my Tomlin speech again about how he walks away and just picks his own spot? Because Mike Tomlin should just walk away, pick his own spot, and get written the biggest check in NFL head coaching history. That's what he should do. Don't worry about getting fired. Just go to resign, leave on your own terms.
What would be a good landing spot, in your opinion, Dave? What would make the most sense for Tomlin?
Oh, Chargers, hands down. That's going to be the most coveted spot. It's going to be the Chargers. Herbert's proven to be successful at this league. I mean, Eckler and Allen are getting up there. You have to worry about, their legs and them losing a step. But that team is young. They have playmakers at all levels, offense and defense. Terrible injury luck and probably a rough culture. But Tomlin's a winner and a culture builder. That's absolutely the best spot to go. That would be the perfect marriage, I think. But there will be other spots opening up. If he thinks that Bryce Young and the Panthers have the right infrastructure, he could go there too. Whatever head coaching vacancies pop up, there's always surprise ones that we get. There'll probably be 8 to 10. Me, you, and Rich went through it, I think, last week. If Tomlin walks away on his own terms with never having a losing season, right? He's still young by NFL head coaching standards. He could go somewhere else and give another 10, 15 years, and he would be able to pick and choose and write his own ticket. So if I'm Mike Tomlin, that's what I would do. I would get out of the Pittsburgh purgatory, move on, fresh start, deep breath of air, just take a deep breath and go ahead, reevaluate where you want to be and go build another winning organization. I think so. It would make the most sense, but yeah, it'd be good. I know that there's some people are saying maybe Carolina is going to take a lot of work. I don't think there's, in actuality, I think the hardest place that it's going to be for anyone to become a coach would be in Carolina, not because it would be hard to get in there. You look at the ownership, and the ownership's like, yeah, I believe in you. But as soon as we're done with this interview and you get hired, I don't believe in you as much anymore. So I just, that's one of those, I don't even think Belichick, honest to God, I mean, it would be, I think between
Belichick and Tomlin would be at fight for San Diego. It'd be interesting to see which one of the two they would end up choosing if they both go that way, because, again, it's rumored that they would trade for Washington and send them down that way. I can see them somewhat turning around the Commanders, but for Carolina Panthers, even if I'm like a no-name coach, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'll stay as a no-name coach. I'm not going there.
I don't think this spot, I don't think will open up because the owner likes the coach too much, but a really great spot for a head coach would be the Atlanta Falcons. I don't think Arthur Smith gets fired because Arthur Blank seems to like him and trust him too much, but they have a good to very good offensive line. They have playmakers at wide receiver, tight end, and running back. An above average defense. You'd have to get your quarterback right, whether that's through free agency or the draft. But man, everything else is in place there. If Arthur Smith goes and you get a coach in there that can maximize the talents of those players, whew, that's a spot, baby.
It would be, but the relationship between Arthur Blank is now questionable with Arthur Smith. That's what came out 2 days ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We'll talk about it after the break. But yeah, it came out about 2 days ago. So after the break, we'll get into some Falcons and then our NFL picks of the week. And before you know it, it's the end of the show. We're coming up in the fourth quarter, bottom of the hour here on Martinez Company. Don't forget, you guys can call or text into the show, 844-644-TONY, 844-644-8669. And this should be another Christmas interlude. So we'll talk to you guys right after the break.
You know I got a break.
You're listening to Martinez and Company
That's right.
on the Tony Bruno Sports Network.
When the snowman brings the snow, well, I just might like to know, just put a great big smile on somebody's face. If you jump into your bed, quickly cover up your head. Don't you lock the doors, you know the sweet Santa Claus is on the way. Well, I wish it could be Christmas every
to Martinez Company
It's always playing in my car.
on the Tony Bruno Sports Network.
I'm good, yeah, I'm feeling alright. Baby, I'ma have the best fucking night of my life. And wherever it takes me, I'm down for the ride. Baby, don't you know I'm good, yeah, I'm feeling alright. 'Cause I'm good, yeah, I'm feeling alright. Baby, I'ma have the best fucking night of my life. And wherever it takes me, I'm down for the ride. Baby, don't you know I'm good, yeah, I'm feeling alright.
Welcome back to Martinez Company, fourth quarter here, the final show of 2023, as we all will be taking a holiday break, except for AJ Johnson, the Bleacher Brothers. Maybe I can coerce them to take off next week. Therefore, Miss Robin and Tony can get a full break during the week. Sorry if you guys were listening earlier. Apparently, the app had crashed, but thankfully it came back. Delco Dave filling in for Rich Quinones. Oh, wait a minute. Jack has a question. Angel, no offense. Is this your first marriage? Coming up. No, it's not. So I was married to my son's mom. She was my first marriage. So, and she passed away. Wow. Speaking about April Fools, it's been 3 years, maybe coming up. Might have been 3 years. We were divorced many years ago, but I think it's been 3 years. And then it was on April Fool's Day because my son called me and said, Dad, Mom's dead. And I said, that's the worst joke you'd ever play on me. And he told me, no, Mom's dead. Apparently he went to work that morning. And they were, both of them were, extremely close. And no, listen, it happens. It happens. So I appreciate it. But he had called me up and said every morning he would go to work, he would go to the room, say goodbye to her, tell her he would see you later on. And at the time, his girlfriend went in the room as well. Apparently his mom told her, do me a favor, make sure you take care of Angel. And she never thought twice about it. She just thought all right, it happens. And she didn't think about it at all. So she went off to work. She came back 8 hours later. My son at the time, I think, was working a 10-hour shift. So she was the first one to come home. And normally when she would come back, his mom would be in the living room waiting. And apparently when the girlfriend arrived at home, she was still in the room, but she thought it was really weird. And so she went and she knocked on the door. She didn't open up the door. The door was unlocked. She walked in and walked up to her and said, are you okay? And felt her at that point, she was cold and clammy and had found out that she had passed away. So yeah.
That's rough, man.
Yeah. So I felt bad for my son because again, they were thick as thieves. Those two went everywhere together and it sucks. Thankfully, he is a strong survivor. There's times where, and I know this time of the year, it hurts him even more. But thankfully him and I, we have a great bond. We've always had a great bond. And the only difference is I'll have him on the show once. And he is the epitome of me, meaning that we both look identical. The only difference is when he gets on the phone, hey, Daddy, what you doing, Daddy? It's about the only difference. As far as the mannerisms, to talk, the whole 9 yards, we're both identical on that behalf. It's funny with him with a country accent. Jack says, being on a cop for 30 years, I still hate going on those calls. First of all, Jack, thank you for your service to our great community.
Yeah, Jack, thank you so much, man. MP and a veteran, CO over here. My wife's a vet, and all my family. I have cousins, uncles that are cops as well, man. So thank you so much. It's a tough job to do. We appreciate everything you do, Jack.
Yeah. I would imagine some of the calls I could, that'd be some tough ones. I might have to have Jack on a show one day to share some, whatever he can share. Obviously there's some things I'm pretty sure he can't share, but that's going to be tough. Especially today, law enforcement today, God bless. Because man, do they go through through the ringer. Yep. But to get back to, there's 2 injury updates coming up as well. Yeah, but apparently Arthur Blank is not too happy with Arthur Smith. And that came out, Yeah,
I was checking that during the break. She told me that because it was just 2 weeks ago. He said Arthur Smith's job is safe. Like he's going to be here at the end of the year. And then, you told me that. I didn't see that. 2 days ago, he came out and said that he'll evaluate based on how the season ends.
Yeah, it's nuts to think about it. Jack says anytime, especially the service dogs, that I can place with vets. Yeah, that's true. And, it's amazing. No one ever thinks about it, the service animals, that they are police officers, canine police officers. And if you hurt them, it's just like hurting a police officer. It's also tough too, man, because I know, and I'm pretty, Jack, if you were with a canine, if you had a canine officer, how many, one is, I hope you didn't have to go through a whole bunch, but I know they have them in service for X amount of years, and then they also get the end of watch, just like a regular police officer as well. So I'm wondering if you did, how many different ones that you had to go through. But that's another one, man. Them dogs, incredible for what they have to do. And Dave, as I told you before too, thank you for your service, especially for your wife as well, because it's not something. If you're weak in the heart, it's definitely not a place for you. I will say that much, because you can't hear people barking orders.
You too, man. Thank you for your service, man. We're a couple of vets over here running the show.
It's right. It's what we do here at the Tony Bruno Sports Network. Veterans, taking care of veterans. It's how we do it. Just having fun. Also, for Trevor Lawrence from the Jags, questionable because of the concussion protocol. So he may play, but it looks like they may end up taking an additional week for precautionary methods, as they should. So he's questionable. And then Geno Smith, who had the groin injury, who everybody thought he was going to end up playing on Monday night. Obviously, he didn't have to worry about it because their backup did a terrific job at the expense of the Eagles. But questionable as far as the groin, but he is apparently going to play. So the only one that's still going to be out, other than right now questionable, is then C.J. Stroud. And you wonder if he is going to be out for the remainder of the season. I mean, he's your future franchise quarterback. So I would think if it was that bad, and it sucks because the Texans were such on a good roll, but if that's the case, I would hope not. Jack says on the question we had from, personally none, but I've worked with cops who went through 3. Average service life is 7 years, and a decent retirement about 5 to 6 years. See, it's stuff you don't get to hear on normal stuff. So
I back to the injury stuff though. It's no surprise that Geno's playing. He was active. If Locke got hurt, I bet Geno was going in on Monday night. So it's no surprise that Geno's playing. From Doug Peterson said he was asked today, because Trevor Lawrence did practice today, and he was asked on Lawrence's possibility of playing on Sunday. Peterson's quote was, "It's better than a coin flip." So I don't know what that 55-45, 60-40. I don't know what that means. He still has to clear the last step of the concussion protocol, but he did practice today. Peterson thinks that, there's a solid chance, I guess, a better than average chance that he plays. I mean, they're battling for a playoff spot, so I don't know. It's definitely going to be – he might end up coming down to being a true game-time decision, but he needs to be cleared tomorrow from the concussion. He can't travel if he's not cleared tomorrow. So that's big. So we'll know for sure tomorrow. But you got to think practicing in a limited capacity on Fridays is a good step in the right direction.
Yep, I'd agree. All right, 2 games coming up on Saturday. First one at 4:30. You got Pittsburgh at Cincy, or the other way around. Cincy at Pittsburgh. Cincy 8-6, who've turned their season around, which is absolutely nuts. Jack, before we get into the picks here, he says, NFL question, what's the deal with Rodgers? What do you think the objective is? Well, listen, I have many objectives when it comes to him. He apparently stated, and he's been so up and down, Jack, because if you go to Pat McAfee's show, you will get to learn a lot more there than you will from everybody else. Alleged supposed he had 21-day window to practice and get better. If he felt like he can get better, then he was able to come back. If I'm the Jets, and I know at 37 years old, in that field where he got hurt, as many players have gotten hurt before, I would just shut him down. He said originally he was going to come back if he could. I don't know why, because it's not like the Jets going to make some amazing run to go into the playoffs. Then all of a sudden he walked it back about 2 days ago saying, no, I don't care what you heard. I'm not coming back. It's not worth the injury in order to risk to re-aggravate an injury again. So listen, he's like the weather. Give him 5 minutes, he'll change.
Yeah, he was playing both sides. If the Jets, if Zach Wilson managed to put it together, if Zach Wilson managed to keep the Jets in playoff condition, Aaron Rodgers was going to ride in like the returning hero, step on the field, and try to carry them into the playoffs. And then he's this miraculous recovery from the Achilles. He carries them to the playoffs, and he played valiantly despite the injury, all that stuff. And then once he realized they were out, he was able to be like, hey, listen, I got back. I was trying to practice, but you know what? It's not there yet, so I can't do it. And because there's no games to play for. That's all it was. That was his plan from the get-go. I guarantee it. That's exactly what he was doing. Jack asked, is it a contract thing? I don't think it's a contract thing. I truly think that he's the second most powerful man in the New York Jets organization right now, is what it is. And if he wants Saleh and Joe Douglas and Hackett gone, they will be gone. But the thing is, those are Rodgers' guys, and Rodgers plans on playing next year. So I think that whole coaching staff is back next year to run it back with Aaron Rodgers again.
Yeah. It's just Aaron being Aaron as he's been for many years. But Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, again, Cincinnati's turned things around. Mike Tomlin could be facing his first losing season, but again, we haven't seen it in the 16 years with the Steelers. 4:30 game. What say you between Cincinnati and Pittsburgh?
So Jamar Chase isn't playing, so that tilted a little bit towards Pittsburgh, but Mason Rudolph is starting for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So not that Jake Browning is some stud quarterback, but he's looked better in the past few games since Burrow went down that Mason Rudolph has done this entire career. So even without Jamar Chase, I'm going with Cincinnati here.
Yeah, I'm going with Cincinnati as well because at Pittsburgh right now, I mean, no offense to Mason Rudolph, no better than Trubisky, at least at this point. No better than Trubisky. Jack says he's looking to be an owner. I'm thinking, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Dave Wallencheck, who should know a lot to do with the Steelers, with his Steel City Renegades over on Redline Radio, says Steelers lose. And
I concur.
If anybody knows, Dave knows. So,
Dave's a good, strong name, too. So I'm sure he knows exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah. And, well, Dave, we've all been saying maybe it's time for Tomlinson to go. So everybody could get their wish. But sometimes one of those things will also be careful what you wish for. Second game of Saturday would be Buffalo 8-6 at the LA Chargers at 5-9. I think this is pretty much a no-brainer who's going to end up winning this one.
Yeah, Buffalo takes it easy. I don't even know what the spread. Do you have the spread up there?
Let me double check. I don't think I do, but
I think Buffalo by 14. So if it's any kind, even a double-digit spread, I think Buffalo covers.
Yeah, nope. I don't see it.
Buffalo's probably the hottest team right now besides the Rams or the Niners. Besides those two teams, Buffalo's one of the hottest teams.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I mean, and a couple weeks ago, it was, the polar opposite. So we got about 7 minutes here left. We'll go with the, let's see. So we got, 9 games on Sunday?
9 on the main slate and the Sunday Nighter.
Yep. So you got, let's see, Atlanta, Indy, let's see, Carolina, again. Wow.
I would take Atlanta over Indy, to be honest with you. I think Atlanta wins this one.
You think?
Yeah. Indy's been shredded through the air all year. I think it's in a dome. The Falcons' offense is still better in climate controlled, and they're still fighting for a division. I could see Atlanta coming out and winning this one.
Yeah, good point. But I still think Gardner Minshew somehow or another it ends up surprising everybody. Takes that one. Then you have maybe the most, I won't say it is for Carolina side. For Green Bay, I think Green Bay obviously will want to keep trying to make the playoff hunt. 6-8 against Carolina, 2-12, Sunday, 1:00. I'm going Green Bay there.
Yeah, Green Bay. I like Green Bay. Oh, hey, pull Dave up. Dave agreed with me with ATL. Pull Dave up. He said Atlanta.
There you go. Oh, yeah, then he said the Bills as well.
Yep.
And get me Mike Vrabel.
I don't think if Vrabel's not leaving Tennessee. Tennessee doesn't want him going. I don't think he wants to leave.
Yeah, probably not. Let's see. We also got Cleveland. Dave says the Packers.
Yep, I agree with that one too. Can't pick Carolina yet.
Cleveland, Houston.
Cleveland.
Cleveland?
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, you're going to say it already. I was going to say C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson are out. You're going to say it too. Yeah, Cleveland will beat them. Stroud and Anderson are both out.
Let's see here. Let's go back. This might be, is this, nope, not Jamal. From the 267, it says, great show tonight, and you sound awesome. Thank you. We do appreciate it. Text lines have been open all night long. Appreciate the text. Thank you. That's a good way to go out into 2023, heading into 2024. Listen, I appreciate, once again, everybody. We'll end up talking about the listeners here in about another 2 minutes or so. So you got Cleveland, Detroit, 10-4, Minnesota 7-7. That could be a good game. That's a good matchup.
Yeah, I think people used to talk about Goff's home road splits, but it's more outdoor indoor splits. I think Goff can go ahead and beat Minnesota in Minnesota.
I think so as well, but we'll have, let's see, Detroit, Washington, Washington, I mean, both of these are not fighting for anything. So Washington 4-10, New York Jets 5-9. I can see someone out of the Jets figuring out their 6th win of the season.
Yeah, I think the Jets just have more skill players. It's just two bad teams playing. Washington's defense is absolutely atrocious. Breece Hall could run for 150 and 2 touchdowns on Sunday.
All right. Then we have
Dave, me and you are gonna have to go ahead and do like a 10-leg parlay, man. We're like in lockstep tonight.
Chad, as I've been paying attention to scores over here, Dave says team that plays in Jim Brown Stadium. Yeah, they don't call the Browns. They have a whole thing over there. Steel City Renegades. He also picks the Lions, and he also goes with the Jets as well. It's man. You talk about, well, they have choice words over there for the Browns fans, but they never mention it because they get fined. They have their own fines on their own show. So if you say the Cleveland Browns, you have to pay a fine, which it's hilarious. Seattle, Tennessee, 7-7, Tennessee 5-9. That's a 1:00 game. That to me screams Seattle.
Yep, Seattle for sure. I think Tennessee's going to lay down.
Also, you have Jacksonville, again, questionable, 8-6, and Baker Mayfield at, 7-7.
I think Baker and the Bucs can go ahead and pull it off. Jacksonville is one of the most pass funnel defenses this year. They're banged up. Godwin seems to have found his game. Baker's been playing probably one of the best seasons of his career. He's got weapons out there. I think Tampa takes it. I'd say with or without Lawrence, too. Whether Lawrence plays or not, I think Tampa wins.
I think so as well. Dave says, get me in the show. It is absolutely late for a walk-in. The midget that wears number 6. That's another thing. They've never called Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's always been the midget for some reason. Again, it was a Browns thing. Then you have, let's see quickly here, Arizona, Chicago 5-9, Arizona 3-11, 4:25 start.
Arizona. I mean, no, Chicago crushes Arizona. My bad.
Yeah. Then the big game, which could be the big game of the weekend, you have Dallas at 10-4, along with Miami 10-4. Miami, I think bigger implications than Dallas, but I think Miami. Obviously, we see that Dallas can't win on the road. I'm going with Miami on that one.
Oh, man, it hurts. This is such a tough game to play. Dallas does struggle on the road. I'm going to go with my heart. This is the game of the week. It's the biggest game of Sunday. I think I want Miami to win. I'll go Miami.
All right. Then we have, let's see, that's Miami, New England, Denver. To me, that's a Denver game. It's an 8:15 start. They all can't wait for Sunday night, as Rich Quinones can't wait for that either. Denver, to me, that's a no-brainer against New England.
Yeah, I mean, I think Belichick's done in New England. I think he's checking out at this point. So, yeah, go Denver on that one.
All right. And then the last three, Dave says the Dolphins. And the last three, we'll do it quick because we're quickly coming up on it. KC, Vegas, Philly, Giants, and then San Fran, Baltimore. I am going KC, Philly, Baltimore, San Fran. That's going to be the game of the week. That's a tough one. I'm going to go with Baltimore.
All right, so I'm going to disagree with you on the last one then. So KC, Philly, and then I'm going San Fran.
All right. We'll see what Dave says. Dave also went with Denver. Dave, you got to get in quick because we're really coming up on it really fast. We also like to thank KC for Dave, and he'll come up with his other two here coming up. We'd like to thank the fans, everyone who tuned in to Martinez Company, making it a success it has been on the Tony Bruno Sports Network. Philly, there you go. Fly, Eagles, fly. And then the 49ers. Thank you, Dave, and everyone who tuned in tonight. To Brian, Steven for listening in, Ms. Robin for handling the business. We do appreciate everyone who's made Martinez Company successful. We can't wait to bring you guys more entertainment coming up here in 2024 on the absolutely magnificent Tony Bruno Sports Network. And thank to Tony and Ms. Robin for coming out of retirement and allowing for myself, Pete Shepard, Defoe and Luby to come here, AJ Johnson from Bleacher Brothers, for all of us to be able to come on here on this great network and entertain you guys. And again, we will be off minus AJ Johnson. He will be around Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week from 8 to 10. So we will see what they have in store for you guys. But again, thanks to Real Delco Dave and for our guest, Dave Jackson. And again, thank you guys, because we couldn't entertain and do the things without you guys. And we appreciate it. And please don't forget to download the app. So have a merry and safe Christmas, a happy new year. And we will talk to you guys in 2024. God bless.
Merry Christmas. God bless everybody.
There's only one real place for total sports. That's the Tony Bruno Sports Network.
You can host the best backyard.
All right, so that closes out the live portion of radio. And thanks for everyone who tuned in here again on the Facebook page. Dave, I'll try to line something up here for 2024. So I will try to line something up here in the new year. Those guys, that's a funny group. Steel City Renegades. It's no holds barred. I will say that way. If you guys want to hear the raw deal of the Pittsburghs, yeah, that's the place you want to go. Redline Radio. It's they don't hold back. I will say that way. Him and Chipper and Chipper is my great friend during the offseason from MLB. During the season, he knows he's an Atlanta Braves fan, so him and I go back and forth. He knows it. Drives me nuts. But no, Chipper's a huge Braves fan. So thank you to everyone once again here on the social medias. We do appreciate it. Once again, we can't do this stuff without you guys. So we really want you to enjoy the holidays. Spend the time with the family. And if you guys have lost anyone throughout the holidays, always remember that they were always around. They may be gone from the earth, but they're never gone from your heart. So with that being said, again, thanks to everyone. Thanks to my lovely producer over in Studio B. And we can't thank you guys enough. So we will see you all in the new year. We want you just to celebrate and do the things that you do, but please be safe if you go out there to any kind of New Year's celebration. So with that, thank you all. We'll see you in 2024.